Hello, everybody. Paul Jancarella here with Speaking to Empower, also known as STE with Paulie G from Westerly. Doesn't that have a good ring to it? If I don't make it in the big world, maybe I will become a rapper. Although I don't like to rap presents or songs. So that may be a dead end. Anyhow, today I wanted to speak to you about cancer and how I was blessed with cancer. Just the fact that I can say that is a blessing. But the year was 2009, and my 5-year-old son at the time was getting ready for kindergarten, was all excited, was on our back porch playing on a chair backwards. He was kind of rocking it back and forth, and it kept moving, and finally it moved over the edge of the step, and he went head over tea kettle onto the concrete patio. It's about a 3-step drop. Kind of smashed his eye, top of his eye, scraped it. It was bleeding. The pediatrician said that it was not much of an issue there, and that he pretty much checked out fine. So off to school he went. That was a Wednesday, the first day of school. And on Friday morning, he said to us just in passing that he peed blood into the toilet. And I said, "Oh boy, that doesn't sound good." And she's like, "No, it doesn't." She's like, "Well, what do you think?" I said, "Well, when he fell, he probably bruised something, and it's a contusion or something." And JP at the time is getting a little worked up, our son. And he said, "No, I didn't pee blood. I didn't pee blood. I'm okay." And I said, "JP, don't worry about it. We're fine." So we contacted the pediatrician, and he said, "Well, it'd be good to go get a ultrasound at the lab." And battery of tests with pricking his arm to get blood and everything. It was very problematic, and because he was just so worked up about it and crying and things. But we finally got the ultrasound done, and lo and behold, he had said, "Well, we're going to need you to do some other tests." And being that he's so fidgety and so irritated, Hasbro Children's Hospital, the north part of the state, will gladly accompany those things. And I got on the phone with my pediatrician, and he's like, "Yeah, that's going to be the best course of action. And, that's the way to go." And looking back on the conversation that I had with my pediatrician, it didn't sound right. But I wasn't thinking of anything. I truly wasn't. As my wife and I are driving our son up to the hospital, I said, "Listen," I said, I'm really not that concerned, because if it was, on his right side is where they're concerned. I said, that's the side he fell on. That's where he's bruised and things. So she's like, "Yeah, you're right. I certainly agree." His temperament was fine. There was no issues. We got up to Hasbro Children's Hospital, and they did the CAT scan, the other ultrasound, and everything came out. And they had said to us, in the middle of the ER, like in the circle where all the nurses are, there's a big computer screen. He's like, "Yeah, come on around in here and we'll show you." So I looked, and he's like, "This is his healthy kidney on the right side, and this is the one that was effective, and it's like 10 times the size. It's like huge. It's like the size of a soccer ball, actually." And ironically enough, I said to him, I said, "Okay, that I see." I said, "So can he play soccer tomorrow?" He's got practice at 9 a.m. And he's like, "Why don't we meet in the room down the hall?" I'm like, "All right, fine." My wife and I, unbeknownst to us, as soon as I walk into that room, I knew for a fact there was something severely wrong. There was couches, tissue boxes everywhere. And my wife's like, "You're crazy." I said, "I'm telling you, Betty." So the doctors come in, and I said, "So he's got cancer, doesn't he?" "Whoa, slow down, slow down." I said, "Listen, I'm not going to flip out. I'm not going to go bananas." I said, "Just lay it on us." He's like, "Yes, your son has a stage 1 seminoma on his right kidney, which is called a Wilms tumor." And the life just dropped out of both my wife and I at that point. But I will say it got better and better and better every experience that we had from there. What I mean by that, his diagnosis was not dire. He had roughly 6 months of chemo to go through, but he was a champion. And a month into his chemo, my wife was working. I was watching Sunday Night Football, and I was kind of messing around. I say messing around, touching myself, checking my testicles, if you will. And I noticed something hard and round on my right side of my testicles, of my scrotum, if you will. And I didn't really think anything of it. And I said to my wife on one of his treatments as we were driving to Providence, I said, I should ask his cancer doctor about, my testicle. And my wife said, "What are you going to do? Drop your drawers right in front of her and have, you know what I mean?" She's like, "Why don't you just call your urologist?" So I did. I called Dr. Letty, my urologist, and he did his self-examination, and he's like, "Geez, you know what? That's a good find." I said, "What do you mean by a good find?" He's like, "It looks like it's stage 1. I think that's also a seminoma, but I may have the terminologies wrong. But nonetheless, it was a very early stage cancer and a very treatable form of cancer. And it turns out that the survival rate from testicular cancer is like 98%, especially with this stage 1. With my son and his cancer, the survival rate was like 97%. So I would say to my son, "I got a better survival rate than you." You know what I mean? Like, just off-color, crazy things, but in a certain way, it made him feel good, especially now that he had his dad to relate to who had cancer. And JP was losing his hair. I shaved my head. I was having 2 doses of chemotherapy. There's no way I was losing my hair, but I shaved it in behalf of my son, and it was a bond that I shared with him. And it really helped us get through what we needed to get through. And I'll just leave you with this. We were given a trip to Disney World. It was absolutely magnificent. But what's funny is, and my wife and I both commented on this, we encountered more happy people in the cancer center than we did down in Disney World. And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of happy people down in Disney World, but it was just unbelievable inspiration in the cancer lab. And sometimes cancer can bring out in you and your family things that you could never, ever imagine. So I thought I'd share that with you. I will check in with you at some point down the road. In the meantime, be well, stay well. We'll talk to you later.